Hi everyone. Thank you for coming to the stream tonight. My name is Straithe, and it is sticker interview time. And we are lucky enough to have Russ. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure thing. My name is Russ. I currently work for a company that finds, detects, and destroys bots on the internet. I've been there about 10 months now, absolutely loving it. And prior to that, spent a decade and some change in the FBI. And prior to that, I was just in general infosec fields in the industry. Got a wonderful family, living living in the East Coast, having a blast, making do as we do.
Great introduction. I love it. So we have a couple stickers we're going to talk about tonight. So the first one is the "I'm a terrible alibi" sticker. Um, what can you tell us about this sticker?
Yeah, so this sticker uh, actually has its origins from my days in the FBI. So, for background, there's this team that they have called the Cyber Action Team, and they respond to sophisticated computer intrusions and related events around the world within a moment's notice. Uh, the easiest, being a law enforcement agency, to communicate it to non-technical folks, the easiest way to describe it was cyber SWAT. Um, so, in order to get on the team, there was a really sophisticated selection process that we built and exercised on. And so, phase one of it was your written application to join the team. Phase two was the technical exercise, and then phase three was your presentation about your the work from the technical exercise to executive management, either simulated or real, of the FBI, to simulated executive management of a victim company. So we were evaluating your background, your technical prowess, and your ability to communicate in writing and orally. And we had washouts at various stages. Well, being one of the team leads for the team, one of my responsibilities was building the exercise that was used for the evaluation of applicants. And in the exercise, we had a proctor and then two adversaries. One of my friends, Mike, was simulating the nation state adversary, and I was simulating a criminal adversary. So what we would do is take our working knowledge of how different intrusion sets worked, take a little bit from each of them. So like, we wouldn't, if you didn't work one particular set, you weren't disadvantaged. So we took a little bit of the TTPs from the smorgasbord presented to us and synthesized it into an actual exercise. It took us maybe 6 to 8 months to build each exam. We would have these systems running long term so that they had an ecosystem around them. It's a couple hundred gigabytes of PCAP data, lots of memory dumps, terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of data that you were given a week to go through. So it was built to be hard. Well, the proctor was going through our notes of what we did in order to make sure that the evidence matched up as to what he was finding in the tools to the timeline of events that both Mike and I had. And in this one particular weekend, uh, the proctor, Dave, uh, was going through it, and he was asking us, uh, "Hey, Mike, what were you doing on this date and time?" It was a weekend sort of thing. Uh, and he goes, "Oh, that? Oh, I was just hanging out with Russ. We were just having a blast with some things." And I was like, "No, you weren't. You're not even in my state. You weren't anywhere around me. We weren't even talking. What the hell are you talking about?" And that's when he responded with, "Russ, you're a terrible alibi,"
That was
because
good.
I took it from its literal stance, which I usually do with things, and didn't really. I should have gone with it, and I didn't. And it just turned into this comedic moment amongst all of us that I decided to caption as a sticker just in time for that year's CatCon, which is the conference that we ran for the Cat team every year. I brought like some of the hacker ethos and flair to it. So that year was the year that they had their first round of uh, you know themed stickers for the event. So yeah, that's the origin of being a terrible alibi, and it's a factual statement. I am a very terrible alibi, and from that, I've also been personally amused to see where it's shown up and on whose devices.
So that's a great question. Where are places you've seen the sticker that you've really appreciated?
Well, I sent a few to Jason Street, and he distributed them. And what was funny to me uh, was seeing someone on the internet adopt them into patches. So I saw "I'm a terrible alibi" patches on people's gear at this last year's ShmooCon, and I was just bemused by the adoption of the phrase and the presentation of it more than anything else. But uh, speaking of ShmooCon, I've seen it on stop signs near Embassy Row, at DEF CON. I've seen it. So first, personal opinion, I don't like seeing things that I've made in a way that's like a defacement, or it's going to annoy someone else if they have to pick it off and clean it off and all that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, but in urinals, I've seen it as a target. Yeah, so it, it's about 3 years old at this particular point, and has been shared and cloned and taken a life of its own. And I just feel a personal sense of joy in that. It's not owned by anyone. Everyone should be a terrible alibi.
That's fair. I know I've been a terrible alibi a few times. Do you have other great stories of times you've been a terrible alibi?
I plead the fifth. Uh,
Yeah, okay.
no, it's so in the reflection of like the origin of the sticker and the cyber action team, uh, those in government service, they make challenge coins to represent who they are and what they're doing and things like that. And there have been times that I would go out to victim organizations, we'd wrap up, here's your challenge coin, but I'd also slip them a stack of stickers. So I have seen a handful of folks show up a victim. Like, I'm not supposed to acknowledge that I know who you are and all that sort of stuff. On the other side of the table once the disengagement has occurred, and but that was kind of bemusing to see some of those faces show back up in uh, industry events and things like that. To see it stuck on their laptop and go, "Oh yeah, now I remember who you are. Uh,
Oh, that's good.
you wear my mark." But it's have I been a terrible alibi? Most folks know that I am. I mean, one of my interesting character traits is that I feel like my brain is a flight recorder in a lot of ways, where I can distinctly play back specific events no matter how drunk I was. Like my bachelor party night, I remember everything clearly, to the point where my friends were like, how do you remember that particular, how? Um, yeah, so I'm probably not the person you want to have hang around if you're going to do the crimes, because I probably will remember them. Um,
Fair. Thanks for the warning.
but yeah, it's been one of the more fun stickers to see move out and about, because it is also like non-specific and extremely generic. And it's just like to me, it's a fantastic message. Like, this is not a camera.
That is one of the most popular stickers. It keeps coming up, I think, in almost every interview. So I think that's the person I need to get on next.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, it's that, like, there's a handful of stickers that are out there that are view culturally iconic because of the humor behind them and the simplicity of the message that was just delivered in the humor with them.
Well, and that's exactly what the sticker is to me. Like, there's a number of times where people ask me to do things, and I have a stack of these in my pocket. I'm just like,
Do I need to remind you?
yeah. So have you received stories from other people where they've been a terrible alibi that you could share?
um, well, for 10 years of my life, it's, what has been adjudicated? No, it's I've heard some. I've been a part of and heard of some really bizarre stories as it relates to uh, the people as they make their way through the criminal process. One of my more favorite ones was a case that I was working on, and it was uh, a school had been hacked, and there was an email sent to all the students that expressed anger about how the GPA scoring system was conducted, and that if you recalculate the grades down to like the fourth significant digit, then you have a clear winner of someone in front of someone else. It's like that's bizarre. Well, table that part for a later part of the story, but um, the OPSEC of the email, again, they used all the right tools in order to make it difficult to track and find and identify who they were, and um, it the school's concern was about like PII about the students and who did this. Like, what the heck is the motivating factor behind like hacking the school and then sending an email like that? That's like weird. Um, I immediately felt like it was a student, and talking it over with the school district and the principal of the school and even the local detectives. It was technically the case of the local detectives. I was just there to support from the FBI perspective. But we held a school assembly. Everyone stand up, wear all your police stuff. Like, stood up in a suit. I had buzz cut hair at one point.
Wow, that I
Yeah,
that I want to see pictures of someday.
yeah. It's from my creds picture through like the last ID that was manufactured for me. There's like this time period of my hair getting longer and my face getting more grouchy. Um, a
Fair.
good civil servant. But the assembly was there to like rattle the cage, get people talking, and things like that. And we got a few leads that we had already suspected. The school had a few students specifically in mind as to who would do this. Time moves on. Dead end after dead end after dead end. One of the other questions that I proposed to everyone was, where is this type of data with that degree of fidelity stored? Like, because that's where the theft occurred. No one can figure it out. No one, like, we don't store anything like that anywhere in any of our system. We don't track GPAs to that or have grade stuff to that fidelity. Um, well, they didn't know that they had that at the time because the school IT admin had back channeled the entire procurement process, outsourced the entire online school presence to a company unbeknownst to the rest of the school system, and also without their approval.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, paid for it out of their own pocket. Uh, Made it like a winning success. So they were held in high regard at the time, but that's where the data theft was. I was like, bingo! I want the logs off of this server. Can we get the logs off of this server? Well, the web hosting provider was like a small 2-bit place out in Phoenixville. Uh, they provided me a 60 gig Apache log
wow.
that spanned the time period of 6 years, and they couldn't just isolate the school's traffic out of this. It was like since they've been there since day one. All right, sure. Thanks for sharing. I will now chop out to the time period in which we think this occurred. And very quickly, therein was two IP addresses that stuck out from the noise floor. And uh, what what was figured out was once you had an authenticated cookie with the system, all you had to do was change your student ID, and then you got to see the other students' data.
Of
So
course.
yeah, yeah, like very simple programmatic oversight. Um, and so what the students had uh, figured out was, and I probably said too much for the story so far in the sense of like how many people were involved, uh, was that they enumerated uh, the entire school system, dumped it all. It had credit card numbers, it had payment methodologies, home addresses, phone numbers of like whole family trees and things like that, because it's like all the information about the students, like if you get sick, like who's your primary health care, like it had all that stuff in it. But
Wow.
uh, it was these two IPs, two different residential IP providers. All right, cool. Subpoena, get a subpoena return. Two houses, students.
Mm-hmm.
Two students. All right, cool. What are they? Oh, seniors. Oh, crap. They graduated. It's now into summer break. They're getting ready to go on to their next school. Um, what was funny was the detective went to the graduation ceremony uh, for the school that year of all the seniors, and one of the valedictorians, it was co-shared. He said he subpoenaed for a copy of the video because it emotionally it was like the guy was going to admit to it right there on stage in front of everyone. Like you can hear him choking up about specific things. He brought up the hack. Like, why would you bring up the hack? Like this happened months ago at this particular point. Why bring that up? Like, and he's just, you can tell something's been working on his mind. Anyways, search warrant day. All right. We now have enough evidence to justify a search warrant to both locations. We go to the first one, the valedictorian's house. They're already gone, packed up, taking him to school for college. All right. Send out a lead request to that field office to interdict and interview and all that stuff. Move on to the next house. We strike gold. Um, Go into the kids' room. There's a note next to the brand new computer that he's built that says like step 1, install Tor. Step 2, install like Firefox. Step 3, NordVPN. Step 4, like all these various like high fidelity OPSEC sort of things for a kid that age. Um, it's my turn to interview him, and my hair at this, yeah, I still had buzzed hair at the time, and but I was in a suit. I didn't come in with a raid jacket on or anything like that. And the I won't forget this. The detective was sitting next to the kid, just like postured, kind of leaning in. I took a seat across the table, sat next to the mother. Uh, Kid was 17. We had to have consent from the mother in order to interview the kid. We got written consent from the mother, and then we also got written consent from the kid. Um, and I proceed to talk about the gravity of the situation that they were facing, and that the federal government is involved in this at this particular point. I'm here to help you. Don't screw up your life. Don't lie to me. Like start doing that whole thing. Uh, and then I start asking the kid about Tor and specific questions like that. I was like, I've never heard of it before. Can you tell me what it is? He goes, well, I don't know what it is. His mom goes, shut up, don't lie to him, you talk about it all the time.
Oh no, Mom.
So at this particular point, I go, well, the way that we came here is that the IP address at this house was seen doing all this crazy activity on these dates and times. His mom goes, that's when your friend was over here. I knew y'all were hacking. I knew y'all were up to no good.
That mother is a terrible alibi.
Yes. She started doing the hatchet hand to him. The kid, from an actual interaction perspective with law enforcement, was smart. He didn't say very much. Uh, and then when he realized that we, had him, because I want to talk to a lawyer, and that was the end of the conversation. Um, well, the conclusion of the story was the DA uh, uh, wanted to, it was a slam dunk case. They wanted to get a plea deal out of it. And I said, well, they're young kids. They did something dumb. They didn't. They stole a lot of data, but they discarded that data, and all they cared about was the GPAs. The crime of passion at this point was because this one kid was sexist. He hated the fact that he was sharing the stage with a woman.
Oh,
Yeah, that was his motivating factor at the end of the day. Um, and I asked the DA, is there any way that, along with the typical community service stuff, that we could mandate that they have to, go through various education classes in college in order to make sure that you know let's make him take women's studies classes. Let's
yes.
let's do all that sort of stuff. Yes, that is doable. So instead of ruining their lives with felonies and things like that, uh, we were able to force them onto, like, bumper lanes, go out, and then community service, yada yada yada. A lot of money for fines that the parents paid for. But yeah, the mother in this case was the terrible alibi. Um, she she was animated. Uh,
Yeah,
but yeah,
the chop hand gets me. Like that's when you know you're in shit. Like, oh,
yeah. When the chop hand came down, that was grounding was not the punishment that was going to be delivered in that household. I even feel that the father was going to get a little bit of the beat stick from that as well, because uh, as I reflect on that conversation, he was quasi, like, he was aware something was going on, but he wasn't involving himself in the kid's life and all that stuff. So, but yeah, yeah, there's that's a fun one. I definitely enjoyed that one. That's long since been adjudicated. Both kids have graduated college. I still keep in touch with one of them occasionally, um, and the other one is going off to law school. I like to say lawyering school. And the other one is just a software dev at this particular point in their life. So,
that's
but
cool.
yeah,
I like that, you were able to find alternative ways to, teach these kids important things, especially the fact that you asked for them to try and get women's studies. I really appreciate that. I know a number of people in our community who would benefit from that. So, thank you.
yeah, yeah. It's I view personally that a lot of things can be solved with open-mindedness and education. Um, yeah.
So the next question is that I'm wondering is did you keep a package of these stickers with you once you created them to hand to people you interviewed that were a terrible alibi?
Oh, no, no, no. Like, always had to keep those parts of the relationship, like, cut and dry and extremely formal and extremely procedural and extremely, um, uh, straightforward, by the book, sort of things like that.
I
When,
imagined.
yeah, like, once things are adjudicated, once you go through the whole system and a judgment is rendered, it is then not uncommon for people from the law enforcement side to say, "Hey, it sucks that we met this way. Do you want to get a cup of coffee later?" Or, like, I've known agents to go back into federal facilities to check up on the people that they put there, or to check on the family members, or things along those lines. It really depends on the nature of the crime and the various, you know, specific circumstances. Um, but yeah, it's not uncommon for folks that are involved, at least with the folks that I worked with, to keep tabs one way or another. Not out of, like, proactive recidivism concerns or anything like that, but more in the sense of um the construct of community policing, of getting people back into society and functioning and things along those lines. We
Yeah.
weren't paid to do that. That's just the nature of what we did.
That
Not all of them did it either. It's a risk balance sort of thing.
That's nice to hear. So, like, that's an amazing backstory and extra context for the sticker. That I really appreciate that. My next question, though, is so you have a sticker. Did you create it, or did someone else do the artwork for it?
Oh, that one was straightforward. I went to a website, chose a square sticker, typed in the text on white, and go, that looks about right. Order.
Do you remember what service you used?
Oh shoot, I do. Uh, ba, ba, ba. Let me get back to that one.
That's fair.
Because I do and I don't, and I can find it real quick. Uh,
Yeah, the power of the internet, right? And emails, you can kind of store everything forever.
yeah, especially um, checking uprinting, letteruprinting.com.
Yeah, I've heard of that one. Apparently, they're pretty good. I've actually had people recommending them lately instead of Sticker Mule.
Yeah, it's I never tried Sticker Mule or used with it. It was just at the time I was like custom stickers. Google search. All right, this one bought more, paid more money for ad space. Checked it out. Took a look at some of the product reviews. Did the initial run with it. I've been happy with that service. The If you just want to put letters on a sticker, they do a really good job of it. If you want to do, custom graphics and things like that, I've done a few others that way. They do a pretty good job with it. I have not done non-standard shapes like custom shapes or anything like that. I'm a simple man.
I I mean, that's a great review. I'd love to see that on their website. Like, if you need letters on a sticker, we get it done. that's
Exactly.
that's such a good tagline. Um, but yeah, I really appreciate hearing where you get stickers from. That's one of my favorite parts of this show is just to hear what services people use and why. And I think it really helps people find out what might work for them. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and they're really inexpensive and really fast. Other metrics.
Yeah. So I do have more sticker metrics questions. How many of these do you think you've printed off? Because like every time I go to a conference and run a sticker box or do sticker trades, like there's always a handful. Like how many?
This one I actually was prepared for that question. I have precisely 4,000 of them out there in the wild.
Wow, that is the biggest number I've heard so far for sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
like I said, they were inexpensive to make, and for the last year and a half or so, like I'd just go to a conference and just take a, boom, slap it on the table, and then I'd come back and they'd be gone.
yeah,
Um,
like I was cleaning my house the other day and I was sweeping the floor and I found one. Like
Gone.
like I lifted it up and I looked over at Mike and I'm like, "Hey, this is a sticker I'm interviewing on Sunday." It was good.
I've infiltrated your hearts, your minds, and your homes.
You have. So okay, 4,000 you say inexpensive. It's still got to be a bit of money though. Like how much has it costed
Oh,
you?
it's been like 4,000 over time.
Mm.
Um, the um, I don't want to answer how much I've paid for it because I'm pretty sure Beth is watching the stream.
Fair.
Which now means I'm a terrible alibi even for myself. Um, but their price is what they have on the website. The expediency is a fudge factor. Like if you need them tomorrow, it's a premium price for that. I just selected the cheapest shipping option, and I think right now I have maybe 300 or so left sitting in a box around the corner because we haven't had con season to distribute or anything like that. Um, but I've started moving on to not just doing stickers, but hygiene products. So my first round of them were hand sanitizers at ShmooCon that featured El Quintero.
Yes, I have a couple of those too. They've been wonderful.
I have ideas for chapstick, uh, bars of soap, uh, hairbrushes or combs, toothpaste, and toothpicks.
Nice. I like it.
I've been thinking about this more than I should.
You know, you were right earlier when you said, though, that this is a huge part of our culture. Like, just having the stuff that you can walk away from a conference with. And, like, there are some people that will keep the stickers for, like, a while, or the other swag for a while, and they'll pass it through to someone else. Like, I have been the recipient of so many sticker box cleanouts where I get, like, a 4-pound package of stickers in the mail, and I love it. So, like, yeah, I really appreciate the effort you're putting into this for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, it was. I have this one specific memory from Vegas. Was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago? I can't remember specifically, but it was that recent because 2020 has really messed with my mental timeline of things. But it was Spam walking around with a box that said "Spam is not your friend" stickers, and he goes, "I've got 10,000 of these things, and they're not coming home with me." And it was towards the end of the conference week. So, like, what do you do with that? Just and all that sort of stuff. But what I do with my stickers, short of putting them on my laptop, is I also put them on my door.
Oh, nice. I like
So
that. So, like,
yeah,
if you ever move, are you going to bring the door with you?
oh hell yeah, that door's coming with me wherever I go. It's uh, that's my fun room.
Yeah, I recognize at least 6 of the stickers on there through even through that quick thing. That was awesome.
Oh yeah, it's I try to have at least one of each genre or conference or uh, thing along those lines, and some of them, are not just HackerCon specific. There's a couple of brewery shops that I enjoy that are up there. There's some stuff from NASA. There's Gillis's face. Um, there's a barbecue joint from Memphis. Yeah.
Nice. I like it. So cool. So that's the terrible alibi sticker. What can you tell us about the leaving the FBI sticker?
So um, that one, uh, I had known that I was going to limit my service to 10 years for a while at that point. So um, it was really no big secret for a lot of folks. There was still some shock associated around it. I've been told, but still, there's an end for everything. And around that time period, it was uh, October of last year at PumpCon in Philadelphia. I'm standing in the courtyard of PumpCon ordering a beer, and people are like, "You're finally out! Yay!" I go, "Well, I technically have like one more week or 2 more weeks left because my end date was it's either the first or second week in November. Yeah, whatever. Um, but there's this chap named Leo. Uh, has a couple of Twitter accounts. One's Trash Panda Sack or something. It'll come to me in a minute. But he walks up and he presents me like, well, he's got this bandolier of folded stickers, and he created those last minute as a joke and was passing them around at PumpCon, and it was a humorous moment. I never felt more affection and love from a community where like my employer was not exactly held in high regard for a lot of reasons. But to be able to emerge from that institution and still make like I personally I always had this conflict of like, well, people only want to be my friend because I work for the FBI. They don't really care about anything that I do. Or things like that. But towards the end of my career there, I actually started feeling more like people actually liked having me around. Not because of how I smelled or anything, but that I was contributing to the community, that people genuinely wanted to be my friend. And, like when this part of my identity expires, it doesn't mean that I like that's the end of my life sort of thing, if that makes sense. So,
Like every time I had seen you at conferences and heard people talk about you, all I heard was about how great of a person you were and how much
oh,
people
thank you.
loved being around you. Um, I think I'd known you for a while, or knew about you for a while before anybody told me you worked for the FBI. So that was kind of like, what?
Yeah, so like I always had this weird part of the identity. being around it. So when that sticker showed up, that was like the Hollywood-esque moment of grasping the trophy, saying they love me, they really love me, um, sort of affect. So yeah, that was a very popular sticker that year at PumpCon, and one of my other favorite memories was uh, so there's another sticker that I have that we won't get into, but one of the subjects of it from that search warrant was there at that PumpCon.
Oh no!
And he goes, "I want 5 of those. I'm going to give it to to the other folks. Like we're friendly and all that sort of stuff." But it was just like this weird convergence of the universe, having a fantastic sense of humor about it. And well, so the stickers are gone. I still have one of the originals on a tear off of the bandolier. And I asked Leo, could you send me that graphic? Because I'd like to actually make a bunch more. Because I plan on passing him around the FBI before I leave. Because I still had to drive down to Hoover. I still had to drive down to the cyber headquarters and like drop equipment off, do my readouts and all that stuff. And as I was going through areas, like I was just like leaving a few behind here and there and everywhere. And I heard, well, I know for a fact that it's traveled widely within the organization where people were asking, like, "Hey, like one of my friends up in Anchorage, I didn't get one. Can someone mail it to me?" So, so like it traveled internally to the organization as well. So I know I still have some. Oh, I definitely know I have some lifelong friends from there. But I also have some other folks that I'll like if I run into them on the street, we'll still fist bump and all that sort of stuff. And there's still some people there that will be forever dead to me. But
Just like
that's
every job.
yeah. I was about to say like that. That's normal and to be expected. But the and then came around the time for so usually they have like a coffee party sort of thing set up for folks for when they leave. Um, there's this friend of mine named JJ who has these two ways. Like, if you don't know Russ, there's two things you need to know about Russ. So he's known me for like 20 years at this point. Russ is like watching the television with the contrast turned all the way up. Uh, like,
Okay.
okay. and, and then there's the other thing he said is that there's also two types of people that really love Russ and people that really hate Russ. There's no one who has like a neutral opinion in the middle, and it was like evident as I was leaving the FBI on that because at headquarters they like we had a wonderful cake ceremony and things like that just amongst us. But I was told that the executive management would not is not upset that I was leaving. They hated me because I was the person that would call out things that I don't like. I was very noisy to that effect. I know I made their lives intentionally difficult, and it was because I was challenging um, their thoughts and their convictions and things like that. They don't like that. Sure, fine, whatever. I've since found out that since I've left, a lot of them go, "Shit, I missed that." But anyways, the um, well, setting the stage for the dynamic. So the I left headquarters, come back to Philly, where like I had a desk out of the Philly field office, and that's where I physically sat, but I was not reporting to anyone there. I was just like a resident in the space.
Mm.
I was a tenant. Um, so the Philly field office had like absolved itself of me for like the last 5 years at that particular point because I didn't report to any of them. So there was no brouhaha send off or anything like that that they normally do because I wasn't attached there. So what they have are like when you leave a field office, there's like a trinket that you get. I bought my own trinket. There was none given to me.
Aw.
So it's the Liberty Bell, and I got the custom inscription on it. Dr. Russ Handorf, Philadelphia, 2009 to 2019. and then base 64 right below it. The base 64 that says GTFO. And it wasn't forget, but got. um, so there was no big party or anything like that out of the office. They just like the management there at the time did not like me as well. Well, actually, once again, it was like 50-50. Like half of the folks really liked me, like a lot, and then there was some folks that just didn't know who I was and didn't care, and then there was another group of folks that were like, I hate that guy, because I'd call their BS out. They're like, I flat out called one of them a liar to his face and the supervisor's face and the management chain, and then presented evidence. Of course, you're not going to like that, but don't lie to me. Anyways,
Again, you're back to your terrible
I'm a terrible
alibi.
alibi. Exactly. So I threw my own party. Cool. Uh, and I wanted to have a bunch of these stickers available for that party as well. So I had the standard sticker pool, but I had the Russ left the FBI, and all I got was this lousy sticker, rubber duckies, and things like that. And I was surprised on two fronts. One, there was an agent there named Ben who paid for out of his own pocket an award for me to be made as a part of my recognition of my service to the organization, and it's hanging on the other side of this wall, and it's really bittersweet to me in a lot of ways. Um, but then on top of that, uh, there were some folks that uh, didn't quite get a chance to like say their farewells and all that stuff when I was still in the organization. So they all showed up. I had people coming from New York City, DC area. I had folks from other agencies like NSA, CIA, DI. A lot of folks came in to say bye and farewell and all that sort of stuff. So it was kind of like a fantastic expression of like I, I did. I now recognize almost a year later the work that I did, and I value it, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to do the work that I did. But now all I got to show for it is the closing of a chapter saying, "Here's a frickin' sticker." It's like end of that story, on to the new one. If that makes sense, like that was a chapter of like the life of me, and then on to the next one. Yeah. Well, now I know what to do. Um, but yeah, like for me, it was a huge validation of um, uh, like, did I waste the last 10 years of my life? Was this all for nothing? There was a lot of introspective stuff about things like that, and at the end of the day, nope. It was. I'm glad had the opportunity to do what I did. I'm still trying to evaluate if I had the opportunity again, would I do it all over again? Like one of those sort of introspectives, because of the what was it in Beetlejuice, the secretary and the or the receptionist in the waiting room. If I knew then what I knew now, I wouldn't have had my little accident. Sort of phrase. I'm still evaluating you know, would 29-year-old me do this again? With the knowledge that 40-year-old me has now. So I don't know, but hey, time that I'll come to terms with that at some point, sometime.
Yeah, of course. Um, so yeah, so you said you've ordered some of these Russ left the FBI stickers now.
Yep.
How many of those have you printed off?
200.
Nice.
Yeah, it was. I didn't have a lot of opportunities to pass those around because it was left the bureau in November, started new job, went to ShmooCon. There wasn't a lot of opportunity to really freely distribute those, so a lot were picked up. Oh yeah, no, I did take a bunch over to B-Sides, Delaware. Uh, there were a bunch of folks that didn't know that they existed more broadly that they heard about the ones at PumpCon and like, oh, you have some more of those? I'm like, well, I didn't make them, but here you go. So totally credit Leo for even having the fantastic nuance of making the letters the yellow. Um, like I don't have that type of creative flair in the sense I would just text on the thing. All right, I wouldn't have ever thought to like bold it, make it slightly different, or even like raid jacket yellow. So,
Yeah.
but that to me that was like a nice little subtle um, thing on that. What was funny to me though was I was at RSA and the FBI had a booth at RSA, and I saw one of those stickers on someone's laptop in the FBI booth.
That's fantastic.
I didn't know who that person was. that was the that was the other thing there that was like a moment of like wow. The really funny moment of that particular part of the interaction was the fellow who's in charge of the San Francisco office, Jack. Um, I've known Jack for a long time, Jack Bennett, and he comes around the corner and he's like, Russ, hugs, and we hug right in front of the person who was like the former head of cyber division. Well, he's still the head of sorry, not former head. He's still the head of cyber division, Matt, and Matt didn't like me too much, and he saw that interaction and he's like, I was like, do you want a sandwich, Matt? like, so I had a bag of sandwiches from a previous client meeting, but that was it like that moment there. It was kind of exemplar of like what my friend JJ has said. It's like people either really really liked me or absolutely had disdain for me.
So I have a question. Like, are you certain this person that had the sticker? Do you know if they worked with you at all or had any overlap, or if they were like
Yes,
brand new?
yeah, they had the same job title that I had as computer scientist. It wasn't until I did like a retro of it that they were a student of mine in the academy. Uh, so that was like when I had met them, and it was like a short period of time. For means of background, at the time when I was hired, the FBI had something like maybe 12 or so computer scientists ever. Um, there were four of us at that particular point. Two others were hired at the same time that I was within like the same pay period window, and then there was this other fellow who had been there for like 20 plus years at that particular point. All the other ones had either come and left, or were like hiding out in weird pockets in the organization. Um, well, anyways, uh, the three of us get sucked into. We get voluntold to go to Quantico to develop a training and a hiring process for. Hey, we like what y'all do. We want 150 more, um, starting tomorrow. Like, no, we don't have time for this. So, anyways, at the end of the day, we ended up putting together curriculum, brought in some really smart and kind and clever folks, and grew it. And then because of the time commitment and things like that, I couldn't be a full time instructor there, which meant being there for like 2.5 to 3 months straight every year. Um, that just wasn't going to fly in this house or for myself. And so what it turned into being is that for the parts that I would need to teach, I'd only come down for a couple of days at a time or a week at a time or things like that, and then go on back to the rest of my normal duties. So I never got as much hands-on with all the students that I had before. But I mean, technically, I got to meet everyone, but I didn't get to know everyone.
Hmm.
If that makes sense, I didn't get to uh, go to all the graduation ceremonies, uh, primarily because of time conflicts and things like that. But um, I do recall being told very recently uh, that I'm still a myth and a legend. Too many over there. Like they're still finding fiber optic cable in various facilities that says stuff like Russ Net 1, Russ Net 2, and they're like, "What the heck is Russ Net?" Oh, that's legacy from when Russ was here. So it's we all leave our marks in various ways. but I was humbled and appreciative, and I'm going through like still this self reflection of like, was it all for naught sort of stuff.
Mm,
So far, the needles tipping in the direction of like, no, I did good, but second guessing myself sort of things.
that's
It's
fair.
human.
Yeah,
It's just being human.
it's definitely being human. Yeah, so we've talked about both of your stickers and gotten some great backstory, so thank you very much. Um, are there any stickers you're looking for right now?
um, now that you mention it, I actually wasn't prepared for that question. You know what I haven't seen is a scratch and sniff sticker.
Mmm, that. What would you want to scratch and sniff at a hacker conference, though?
Something that isn't BO or
Fair.
booze. Smelling
Fair.
salts. Smelling salts, scratch and sniff sticker.
Sure, I will write that one down.
If you can crack that egg, that would be that would be an eye opener. But
um, cool. Uh, so, do you have any favorite stickers that someone else has made?
oh yeah. So here, let me pivot over to the board. So on this wall, on this door, I have prominently shown "Come back with a warrant" from the EFF. I definitely love Safety Third.
That
That's like my straight up sense of humor.
that is a solid sticker.
Uh, the Squirrel Army is a great one. Oh, trying to remember his name. I got his face in my head. He's got one of Vladimir Putin holding up a power glove.
That one has been mentioned on the stream a few times too, so I think maybe I should get that person on sometime soon.
Yeah, I can help. I'm blanking on his name, but I definitely know how to get a hold of him. There's SDR is a sideshow from the Wireless Village.
Mm,
Uh, the commemorative stamp of rants of F cancer.
mm.
Let's see here. Wireshark, Hack 5 stuff. Rectal use only.
Those are good
Um,
too.
yeah. Oh, I definitely would love more of Fragile Handle with Love.
Those
Um,
sounds very nice.
yeah, that's like I've seen the Live Bees one, and I think that was a funny one. But Fragile Handle with Love, I won't forget Dominic Spill and I at DEF CON a couple years ago were just like walking around with a bunch of them on us. Let's see here.
I think I need a jacket with that.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, would you look at that? A Great Gots Gadgets sticker. Uh,
That was a great switch of first letters on words there. I yeah, I'm gonna have to remember how to say that.
Now I got a couple from NASA. Um, there's the Kismet ones looking up to the corner. Yeah, I've got some weird ones from NASA. They don't sell them in the gift shop. They've got a crew that makes their own.
Mm,
Um, but yeah. All in all, uh,
that sounds great. That's
yeah,
like that's
there's a handful up there that I like. Like the SDR as a sideshow one is one of my more favorite ones from the Wireless Village. The origin of that was many DEF CONs ago. Uh, as I understand it, they were planning on either saying like Wireless Village, you're just done, like there's nothing else here to do, or they were going to slim down our footprint.
mm,
And we fought back saying like, no, we actually have a need for space because we're doing SDR challenges and things like that. And the fellow said SDR is a sideshow and Wi-Fi is dead.
that's bullshit, but thank you.
Exactly. That was the year that we came back as a black badge challenge for a after a long time. So it was like, yeah, it ain't dead. That individual was no longer responsible for that particular decision. Um,
Snap,
leading
snap.
up to us being there. Exactly. So it was, but yeah, we've taken that phrase and ran with it. SDR is the sideshow.
I love it.
Exactly. No, it isn't. It absolutely is not. It's a fun, fantastic frontier.
Well, that was a great extra story. But I think that's us at about an hour. So I want to thank you for coming onto the show. And let's wave bye to everyone. Bye.
Catch y'all all later out there in TV land.
See ya.